Yo, what is up, y'all? Hey, so I wanted to give you guys a little trade recap here on these two trades that I took right now that allowed me to basically take over $1,000 in profit. Now you're gonna see I actually left some money on the table, but you'll see in a second here what I was looking at. So first, let's start with our morning watch list, which actually was from last night. So you'll see here, I posted it last night at 9 p.m. I'm basically telling everybody I'm watching these particular tickers. And the reason I was watching these tickers is because you'll see my analysis on IWM, QQQ, and SPY. I'm literally telling you they're in a box, they're inside of parallel channel, and IWM was in a box. So I didn't really have an interest in trading those. So I had these individual ticker names. Now, each one of these you'll see has a setup already in place. I'm looking for specific things the next day when the market opens, which would be today, and you'll see I'm having all of these setups. Now, the ones that I actually took, you'll see is right here: JP Morgan, JPM, and then Oracle. Now, I send that out at 9 a.m. This morning, I am letting everybody know that I'm watching Oracle. Remember, this is the setup, right? This matches the same exact setup that I was looking at from over here. Same exact setup. Okay. And at the same time, I'm also making you aware that I am watching JPM. Okay, the same exact setup. Remember that setup? It's the same exact one from over here. So it's not, there's no guessing. My institutional levels are already set up. I already know what's going on. And basically, I just tell you at that point, look, here's what I executed. I got in at 340 calls. And then from there, I'm going to show you on the chart. And then once I take the 29% profit, now I did leave some profits on the table because I got a little bit too close on my stop loss. Generally, I don't get that close to it. But in this case, I accidentally got a little bit too close. So I got stopped out. Eventually, it ended up running beyond my target profit. So it would have been an even better gain. But hey, it happens. And I learn from it and I move on. Now, I ended up I got in at 640. I got out at 642 2 minutes later. This was 30 contracts. Okay. And that's what I took right there. And the overall gain on that one was $900. So right after that, I'm going back to watching Oracle. Okay. And then I'm going to show you on both of these exactly what I did. So let me start off with Oracle. Okay. So what I was looking at Oracle, if you remember, this is the actual setup from the night before. Now, let me get back over here. There we go. Now, the actual setup from the night before called for somewhere down here. So I didn't catch that move right there. So I had to let it come back. And then it was kind of oscillating down a little bit for a moment before it kind of pumped back up. So I said, okay, you know what? We get back to the high of day here. I got my target right here. My setup was nice because it was still a 2 to 1, a 1 to 2 risk reward. So I was willing to risk one to make over two. And the trade did exactly what I wanted it to do. It was perfect. So got a nice execution here on this entry level, had a little pullback, and then it just ran. Here was the problem. Kind of like JPM, I made a mistake here and I didn't take my profits into strength. So I ended up closing out. I could have been up on a 30% trade. I ended up closing out on a 10% trade. So it was just one of those things, just from an execution standpoint. I'll get better at it. But I wanted to just show you where the entry and where the exit. So everything aligned perfectly. This right here, I'm not worried about because I could easily fix this. Okay. It was just a mistake on my end. And so my PT hit, my process worked. I'm all done with that. And then what I did with JPM, let me show you that one. Here's what I did with JPM. Mind you, look, you can see it's still way up here now. It went way beyond. So here's what happened. So I'm looking at the setup. Market opens, comes down underneath, comes right back up to right my area of interest. I get a very nice entry. Look at my risk to reward. 1, 2, 3. I'm actually risking one to make three. Now, unfortunately, I stopped myself out right here. Okay, but that was my ultimate target. All right. So if I would have let that just run as I usually do, I would have capitalized on some more, but I ended up dropping my stop loss a little bit too close, a little bit too soon. So I deal with it. That's okay. Over $1,000 in profits in 24 minutes. So you'll see here on the recap. Okay. So here's what we got going on. Okay. So 900 over 1,000. And the best part of all is those process that I just talked about and the execution on the exits. That's an easy fix. Okay. I don't have an issue with that. I just made a mistake today. So instead of me going back into a trade or trying to trade more or trying to make up what I missed, I just let it go. Even if the trade is doing exactly what I wanted it to do, which is look at this. Look at the entry. I literally bought the bottom of this. I'm going to take you to a higher time.